I was going through all of my documentation and all of my sauce I had from the good old sales day, and I found something called the DNA of a great sales call. And as I was reading through this DNA of a great sales call, it's been over 10 years since this document was created. And as I was reading it, I said, these are the same things that we talk about every single day. And these are the things that I truly believe that salespeople have to possess to be successful in sales. And a lot of it is things you know, but I definitely want you to go over these things with me as we talk about them. And I want you to actually evaluate yourself on these things. And I say it all the time. I always say evaluate yourself on what we talk about. But you have to understand the evaluation is so important because the evaluation allows you to grow and continue to reach better versions of yourself. So as you're listening, I really want you to take a step to step back and think to yourself, which one of these traits do you possess? And if you possess it, how often are you using it? And then which one of these traits do you not possess? Are you not really using? And then I want you to ask yourself, if you're not really using it or you don't really possess it, what are you doing to get stronger at these traits? You know, there's two different ways to attack something. You could double down on your strength and don't worry about your opportunity, or you could double down on your opportunity and make it a strength. And what I like to do specifically in sales, I don't think we could afford to not be good at any part of sales. I think we need to double down and create strengths out of our opportunities so we have a pretty solid foundation throughout the whole sales process. For example, some people are very good with following up, but they're not good with tonality. Some people might be good at rebuttaling and handling objections, but they're not good at building relationships. Some people might be great at relationships, but they're not really good at being pushy or closing. Every salesperson has different things that they bring to the table, but your goal should always be to strengthen the stuff you're not good at. Another example using myself. I sucked at active listening. There were so many times I would cut the client off because I was so eager to get to the next thing and my mind was moving so fast. That was a big opportunity for me. But instead of ignoring it and just focusing on closing, which was one of my strengths, and building relationships, which was another one of my strengths, instead of doing all that, I said, I'm gonna fix my active listening. And what I did was I created 3 rules for myself. The first rule was I have to mute the headset while the client's talking. So I force myself, hack myself to not interfere with them talking. The second rule to go with that was I had to take notes of what they were saying while they were talking. So I forced myself to be engaged and listening to what they're actually saying. And the third step was, before getting to my point, because sometimes we just listen, but we skip everything the client says, and we jump straight to what we want to say, which pretty much means there is no point of listening because you're not acknowledging or referencing anything that the client said. So the third step and rule that I made for myself was I had to acknowledge and recap what they said before I moved on to what I said. And those 3 rules, doing it day in and day out, made me a great active listener because I focused on active listening. The DNA of a great sales call. And what we used to ask salespeople was, how many times are you using these? Or how many of these are you actually using? And I'm gonna spitball them and just go through them and what I think about when I think about these traits. So to jump into it, let's start with passion. I think passion outsells everything. The first thing you have to do, because sales is only hard if you don't have passion. Meaning if I'm selling you, like for example, life insurance. I train companies in life insurance. I'm not really passionate about life insurance. Could I do life insurance and could I sell it and fake it till I make it? Yes, I probably can. Do I want to? No, because I'm not passionate about it, because I don't like the fact or the idea of gambling on somebody losing their life. I don't like death, and I don't like to speak about death a lot. So it's something that I'm not super passionate about. So if I was selling life insurance, I don't think I'd sound the same as selling cash on a mortgage, because I love selling cash on a mortgage. So I'm passionate about cash because I absolutely love cash, and I could talk about cash all day, every day, because I believe cash lessens your stress, gives you flexibility to live your life freely, and allows you to make important decisions in your life with authority when you have it. The other hand, life insurance, yes, I could talk about family, I could talk about legacy, I could talk about taking care of your kids and your wife and leaving them something behind when you're gone. I could talk about all those things. I think life insurance is great. I think all those things are important, but my passion won't really be there. It's going to be hard for me to fake my passion on that. So the first thing I ask you is, if I listen to your sales call or I go through your email, are you passionate about sales? And to take it a level further, are you passionate about the thing that you're selling, the product or service that you're actually presenting? Now, how do you know if you're passionate? Well, you could read passion through an email. You could hear passion through the phone. You know, I even say passion on the phone. Mr. Client, look, it might seem like I'm pushy or being aggressive. Look, at the end of the day, I'm very passionate about what I do. I really want to get to know you and your family so I could customize the perfect solution for you. The same way that I'm pushing you to get me these documents, or the same way that I'm pushing you to make a decision today is the same way I'm gonna push the underwriters and process, is the same way I'm gonna get you closed. Like that passion, I'll use it as a brand sometimes. Some people are scared to ask about assets. Like they don't wanna ask too deep into assets. How much do you have? How long did it take you to save? They get a little nervous around those areas. If a client tells me like, what is it your business? Do you need this for the loan? I say, no, it's none of my business, but look, I'm super passionate about what I do. And my main goal is to understand you and your family's life so I could customize the perfect solution for you. The more I know, the more I could help. Those are things that show passion on a phone call. So my first question to you is, how passionate are you about your craft? If you're really passionate about sales, you should be listening to sales stuff. The second thing is energy. I think about energy, and this comes in all forms. It starts off with how you start off your morning. Do you sound like it's the morning, or do you sound like you're energized? From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., whether it's Sunday or Monday, you have that energy and you're bringing it to the table. That goes into what you eat, how you start your morning. With the Miracle Morning, we talk about routines all the time. If I don't do my routine in the morning, I don't have the same energy in the morning. So for me, I know if I want to have energy in my job and my career and my business, I have to warm up my body like I warm up a car on a cold winter day, which is doing my morning routine. Working out, taking a cold shower, reading, writing down my goals, having my schedule, clearing stuff off my plate, and then I have that real energy and focus to get my day started. So that's something that helps me with energy. But do you have energy on every single phone call? Do you put your full energy on every single email and text? Are your voicemails energetic? Or do you find yourself dead at sometimes and slow and low energy? I think about creativity. Somebody told me today, like, hey, if they have a better deal and I know that I can't beat the deal, how would you approach a situation? I told them I would get creative about the situation. Getting creative is a game changer. And are you getting creative with your business? That's just like on the phone talking to people, but are you also getting creative in your communication, with your technology, with your approach on the day? I always talk about how I took Thursdays off and I used to work every single Saturday and Sunday for a couple hours, handle all my personal errands on Thursday. I think that's a creative way to approach a week because I got a lot more business with a couple hours on Saturday and Sunday than I would on a full Thursday. That's getting creative. So when I think about the DNA of great sales, I think about creativity. Ask yourself, how creative are you getting? Preparation. This is a big one. Are you prepared for the day? Are you prepared for the call? Are you prepared for the follow-up? Are you prepared to end your day? Are you prepared to end the call? Are you prepared for the weekend? Are you prepared for the week? Are you prepared for the month? This ties into a lot of things. If you're a broker, it comes into marketing and what time you're gonna prospect and what schedule you're gonna own and honor this month. And it comes into follow-up. Every time you call a follow-up, how are you gonna prepare yourself? How are you gonna take notes on the file? How are you gonna know where you left off and where to start off the next time? It goes into what time are you gonna text and what are you gonna say? And how detailed are you with the information on your client's profile? So I think preparation is everything, not only in sales, but in life. It's one thing to stay prepared. It's another thing to take action on that preparation. So you take preparation and you take action, you combine those together, you got a killer formula right there. Because you're preparing for your success, then you're doing the action that's required with the success. These next two go together. Descriptive words and buzzwords. How often are you using descriptive words and buzzwords? We talk about like different kind of learners out there, and we say that a lot of people are audio learners. They have to hear something to actually make them move or make them understand. Well, there's a lot of buzzwords we could be using right now. Buzzwords like the market, recession, inflation, savings, retirement, game changer, life changer, urgency, certainty. These are different buzzwords that I think about right now that we should be using. Descriptive words as well that we should be using. Financial freedom, legacy, words that really mean something to somebody. And buzzwords that make somebody attracted to doing something with you, that plant seeds for somebody. How often are we using descriptive words and buzzwords throughout our sales analogies? Which is the next one, analogies. I always tell a client, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. Why are we gonna wait on this? We could wait and things could get better, things could get worse. Maybe it's here, maybe it's there, maybe this happens, maybe that happens. Or we could take the bird in the hand right now with certainty and get this done. Are you using analogies with your clients? I also tell clients, look, Mr. Client, would I buy a diesel truck when gas was $5.50 a gallon a year ago? or a year and a half ago, do you think that's a good time to buy a diesel truck? They say, no, of course not. I say, exactly. So sometimes it's not always the best time to buy down a low interest rate when interest rates are priced the highest. You're better off taking a fair rate with some good cost and then dropping the rate when the interest rates drop, and it's a lot cheaper. The same way I'd buy a diesel truck when gas goes down. I say, right now I drive a Tesla, it's electric. I bought my Tesla when gas was $5 a gallon. Storytelling and analogies, they work all the time. You gotta be telling stories to connect to clients. They say stories sell people. If you ever watch a video or inspiration or something that really fires you up, it's most likely tied to a story. The videos on social media that do the best, they're a story. That's how they hook you, that's how they engage you, and you listen because you're listening to a story. For example, I could make a video on social media and say like, hey guys, I have this beautiful academy. We do weekly coaching. We have sales and leadership calls. Here's some of the stuff we're doing in there. That's not gonna get any engagement. But if I start the video and I say, hey guys, let me tell you a story about Jeff who came to me when he was about to lose his house. And I start telling this descriptive story about Jeff, and at the end, it ties into the academy in the same like theme and the same takeaway, but I'm telling it in a story to engage people. If you start a video off saying like, I had chills, it was super cold, I looked up in tears. Every single person is engaging your video and they're gonna make it past 3 seconds because you're engaging them through the story. So great salespeople tell stories all the time on the phone. Great salespeople share analogies all the time on the phone to get their client to understand something. So ask yourself, how many stories are you telling? How many analogies are you sharing on a sales call? This one should really be number one, but your why. Great salespeople, successful people not only know their why and know their purpose, but they connect it to every single thing they do. Meaning, I know my why. My why is I want to break the clock. I want to get a tattoo on my back with a chain and a clock on it, and I want to cut the chain in half with the chain falling halfway through my back. That's my next tattoo I'm getting. Why? Because I want to own time, and I don't want time to own me. That goes into traveling freely, working on my time, which I'm getting to, being able to do what I want when I want, giving my family the life that they deserve, changing my family tree forever. This is my why. Okay, this is my why. Great. What do you do with that why? You know what I do with that why? I'm up at 4:30 in the morning every fucking day. I treat every single sales call the same. I go in and I'm on level 10 at every single company I walk into. Every single call I give you guys, I try to give my 100%. Why? Because that why is ingrained in me. And I know that why, and it's more important than everything else that happens. It's more important than getting sick. It's more important than a down day. It's more important than being tired. It's more important than a bad phone call. It's more important than an argument. Argument happens, your why's bigger. I get a ticket while I'm driving, your why's bigger. I lose an account, your why's bigger. Client shops me, your why's bigger. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So it's one thing to know your why, but it's another thing to be totally obsessed with your why, where nobody could get to you. All the negativity in the world, people are like, man, how do you do it? How do you stay focused? Well, it's because your why is greater than everything else. You understand that and you keep that on the forefront of your mind. How do you do that? You constantly remind yourself every single day what you're doing this all for. Every single day I close my eyes and I meditate and I say, this is why I'm doing all of this. I want to be here. I am here. This is how it's going to feel when I be here. This is what it's going to take to get here. These are the stuff I'm going to have to go through. These are the things that are going to upset me. These are the potential things that are going to break me. This is why I'm not going to let them break me. This is what I'm going to do if they do try to break me. Like planting out all scenarios and things that happen. I had a training with a company 2 days ago. A lot of negativity in the room. And I said, you know what? Do me a favor. Grab a pen and a paper and write down the last 10 things to piss you off over the last 30 days. Like, what are the things that piss you off and really throw you off your flow and get you out of the energy and the passion and the creativity and the preparation and the buzzwords and analogies and storytelling? What are the things that throw you off the DNA of a great sales call? And they wrote down a bunch of things. And after they wrote down those things, I said, all right, now I want you to close your eyes for 30 seconds. And I want you to imagine all those things happening today and tomorrow and for the whole week. And they did that. And then I said, after you do that, I want you to pretend that I'm going to pay you to not let those things affect you. What would you do to not let them affect you? And they all started writing things down that they would do to not let them affect them. So it's an exercise about expecting the bullshit and then writing down things you're going to do to not let the bullshit affect you, or a positive action item to replace the bullshit with. If I get a phone call from somebody that's typically negative, I'm not gonna answer it. Automatic text, I'll call you after 6. Like, that's a positive action. If somebody backs out on me, I'm gonna make them the best damn email I ever did. That's a positive action. If I get into an argument with my leader, I'm gonna ask him for a one-on-one to see how I could get better. Like, what are the things that you could do to not let all the negative things bother you. And if there's nothing you could do, then at least expect those negative things happening and just imagine how you're gonna feel when they happen so you don't get upset. For example, if I'm driving home and you call me and say, yo man, your wife's pretty upset, bro. Just be prepared to get yelled at as soon as you walk in the door. ABC happened. Now I mentally prepare to get yelled at when I walk in the door. I'm not shocked. It's not going to hurt me because I'm prepared for it. And there's probably a reason for it. So I think about those things. Think about the things that really piss you off or throw you off your flow and start expecting those things. I'm a big fan of like law of attraction and positivity and affirming things into your life, and I believe in all of that. But there's also real life, and there's also curveballs, and I understand that, and I'm not naive to that. So sometimes it's okay to say, all right, this is what is gonna happen. I'm gonna affirm this happening. I'm gonna manifest this happening. But this also might happen, and I have to be ready for this. And if that does happen, then I'm gonna do this, this, and this to make sure that doesn't bother me. So that's a big one. I think about vision. DNA of successful people, they have vision. Where are you going next month? Where are you going by the end of the year? Where are you going to be at in 3 years? Where are you going to be at in 5 years? You should be able to tell me exactly where you're going to be, the house you're going to be living in, the clothes you're going to be wearing, the car you're going to be driving. You should have a very descriptive vision of where you're going to be and how you're going to get there. And then the same exact thing with our why. You should keep that vision in front of you every single day. Where are you going? How are you going to get there? What's it going to look like when you're there? How far are you across the journey to get there? And every single day you should rearrange and test yourself. I also think about having fun. You know, great salespeople, great business people, great successful people, they know how to have fun. When I'm in the office selling, I'm having fun. I'm laughing. I'm throwing jokes. Don't forget about me on Christmas. Your husband's gonna love this. Your wife might love this. All day long, I'm throwing jokes. I'm making people laugh, and I'm having fun. If you're a leader, you should be having fun with your team. Whoever brings up ice cream the most today on the phone wins this. As a leader, the funnest part about a leader was like being a DJ, playing music, getting a microphone, having my team roast me roast my team for fun, making jokes on the phone, making jokes with my team, doing funny contests, pie me in the face. Like having fun as a leader was good. As a salesperson, it's also important to have fun. You get smacked in the face, you try something silly, you switch it up, you be adaptable. You're constantly changing with the flow of things, and you're constantly having fun. It's crazy. When you have fun, you do better. Which leads me to the next thing. Laughing. It's important that you laugh in this career. You laugh on the phones. You laugh with your friends. You laugh with your teams. You have fun and you let the good times roll. There was a lot of times I was so serious where there was something that happened that would be funny, and I would stay serious in my job, and I'll stay serious to the next call, and I would miss out like something crazy and funny that happened. And I realized that's not the way to always do it. Sometimes it's good to take a little bit of a break, laugh something off, make a joke. Somebody's coming in late. They might spill coffee on their keyboard. They look at you, I look at them, and we just both start cracking up, and like that's a funny moment to have. And it just reminds you why you're doing this all for. So a lot of times you could take a lot of the adversity and things that happen to you and you could just laugh them off. It's a very tense job. Sales could be nerve-wracking. So sometimes it's very important to laugh. So I ask you guys, how often are you laughing? This is a good one. Pendulum conversation. Meaning if your conversation was a pendulum, how often do you swing to the left and right? And there's two different ways that I think about this. Number one, I think about this when I'm doing comparative branding. I might say like, you know, other salespeople, they might throw you in process. They never talk to you again. But over here with me, I'm going to call you every single day. I'm going to email you every single day. I'm going to text you every single day. I'm going to hold your hand through the whole process. So as you say, I'm swinging the conversation to the left and right to compare other companies with my company. I might also do a pendulum conversation when I compare their life right now. So here's what's going on in your life right now. You told me things are very tough for you. You told me you only have this much in the bank. You told me the most important thing to you was A, B, and C. And then I go to the right side and I say, so I want you to close your eyes and think about the next 30 days after we get this done. Here's how this is gonna look. Here's what's gonna happen here. And I'm taking them to the left and right of how their life looks now and how their life looks in 30 days. Next, we have voice inflection and tone and pace. Super important that sometimes, like if somebody has something sad that happens, you have to switch it up and say like, I'm so sorry, you know, to hear that. And that really breaks my heart and I'm going to keep them in my prayers. And you know, you have to have that voice inflection to switch it up. And if somebody says that they have a 9%, like, holy cows, did you say 9%? Well, listen, first off, I could tell you, if you're working with me, you would never, ever be stuck in that rate because I would have never left you in it for that long. And like sometimes I swing my voice the other way depending on where I want to take it, but you got to have voice inflection. Tone and pace is important too. If I get, a New York style client that says like, hey, what do you got, buddy? I don't got time for you. That's great, man. I'll make this super quick. I got rates as low as 5.75 for what you offered. And I'm going quick. But if I get a lady that's, a little older and she needs me to talk slower, I might be like, all right, Martha, so here's the way the process looks. I really don't want to waste any of your time at all. And I want to make sure you totally understand everything that I tell you. And like I'm switching my tonality and my pace depending on who I'm talking to. So I ask you, how often are you using voice inflection and tone and pace? Which takes us to rapport. Are you building rapport? The rapport is what you do between qualifying. Are you just asking the question after question, or do you ask a question, share a story, get a story, throw a joke, then ask a question, share an emotion, get curious, share a joke? Is there a rhythm and a sympathy to your phone call? And I think that's what rapport is. And urgency is letting the client know that they have to get this done without telling the client they actually have to get this done. Meaning if I have somebody that usually likes to wait on things, then I'm gonna plant 3-4 seeds of urgency of why they shouldn't wait on things without actually telling them, hey, you can't wait on this, because that doesn't sound good. So I'm gonna say things like, look, I know you typically don't like making changes in your life. You've had the same car, same company, same this, same that. Here's the reason why it's important that we're on the phone today, and it's a great time to make a change. Blah, 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 blah. And then I pivot away. And later on in that call, I say, look, the great thing is you haven't done anything like this in 8 years. It's not as hard as it used to be. Things are actually extremely easy right now. It's gonna be so easy, you're gonna think that it's a fake process. Pivot away again. So I'm planting a little bit of seeds to let them know like, hey, this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. And eventually that gets planted in their head and they end up wanting to do it. Bandwagoning, that's a good one. I call that like a quick reflex as a salesperson. There's opportunities where you could bandwagon. You have to take those opportunities right away. For example, if somebody says like, regardless of what you say, I'm gonna shop this around, that's a good bandwagon opportunity. I say, man, you're my kind of guy, because I love shopping this around as well. But let me tell you why shopping this around with me doesn't make any sense. It's actually because I'm doing all the shopping for you. Let me walk you through my process and the way I price you out. And like I bandwagon with them to make them feel like we're on the same side, then I explain myself. Another sense of bandwagon is like going on the same side of the fence as them. Let's say they're stuck in process for, let's say, 65 days. Great time to bandwagon and do a relevant brand. 65 days. I've been doing this for 12 years. Last time I had somebody in process for 65 days was 2013. Working with me, I can guarantee you I'll get this done in 4 weeks maximum, and you'll be updated every step along the way. Great opportunity, bandwagon and brand. So how many times are you bandwagoning on what the client says? Pitching 2 different options and saying, which one are you leaning towards? They say, I'm leaning towards this one. I say, great. I was thinking the same exact thing, because blah, blah, blah. And I'm bandwagoning with them on the decision that they choose. I think about being agreeable. Being agreeable, meaning that we don't go against the client or argue with the client. We're always agreeable towards them. I think the costs are so high. I definitely agree with you. The costs do appear that they're high. Here's the reason why I thought they made sense. So I'm agreeing with them first, but then I'm telling them why it makes sense right after. Not like, oh no, they do make sense, and here's the reason why, because that sounds like you're combative now. So how often are you agreeable on the phone or agreeing with what the client says? Empathy is a big one. When you think about empathy, I think about like people that are going through hardship, people that are nervous or scared to make a decision. Do you show that empathy? Do you go deep with them to figure out exactly what's going on in their life? If they've been burned before, I say, look, I'm so sorry you've been burned before. And I definitely know how this could feel, especially being nervous because you don't know if I'm gonna burn you, which I totally understand. I wouldn't want to get burned either. Here's what I'm gonna do to make you feel super comfortable with me right now. Like that's being agreeable and showing empathy before even being combative or arguing or saying anything in response to that. Which leads me to confidence. You gotta be confident on the phone. I heard Andy Elliott say the other day, like the first thing that a salesperson needs to do is be confident when they talk. Like there's too many salespeople out here that are stuttering, I don't know. Like, how don't you know? You're a professional, you should know everything. You should be very direct when you speak. And people read that and they sense that and they hear that and they follow that. So you have to be confident when you speak. You have to be confident when you get dressed. You have to be confident when you walk in the office. You have to be confident when you say hello. You have to be confident when somebody wants to shop you. And how do you build that confidence? Well, you continue to practice because you usually go through the same exact scenarios over and over again. You got to practice the 7, 8, 9 scenarios that you keep going through every single day until you get rebuttals and statements and branding and phrases that you could say every single time until they're stainless steel and you sound very, very confident while you're saying them. Which leads us to expertise. Are you the expert in your field? Are you asking somebody like, yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, I could talk to a client for 30 seconds and know if they qualify. I consider myself an expert in the field. I'm analyzing data. Like when you're talking to somebody with your product or service, is your mind like a computer? Because my mind is like a computer, just taking in all the information and taking it down different tunnels. Like this is how I have conversations with people. And you have to build that up with professionalism and expertise. Are you the expert, especially if you're a broker? If you're a broker and you have a tough situation, you should know 5 lenders right away that you could go to for that situation. You should talk to those people, tell them exactly what's going on, and tell them exactly what you need to know from them. You should be able to narrow it down for them and make their job easier because you're the professional and you know what's going on. And then you should brand that to your client every single time. And then professionalism. I hear people on the phone sometimes that are not being professional. Look, my rule of thumb is be professional every single time. I've had places that I went to where I slipped off the professionalism and it ended up hurting me in the future. I've had phone calls that I've been through before that I slipped off the professionalism and the client would say some stuff that they're not supposed to say on the phone call. Why am I risking my career to be unprofessional? So you could be cool with somebody, but you can still be professional. There was a phone call that I listened to the other day and the guy's like, man, I don't know if you're a cop. I don't really want to tell you what I did with that money. How do I know who you are? And the guy started messing around with him back saying, I'm not a cop, this and that, playing games. And the whole call turned into games. Like the way you handle that is like, look, I'm the last thing from a cop, but I'm also not here to waste any time. I'm here to get you some cash and save you some money. So tell me, how much do you have in reserves? Where you're keeping it professional, but you're still direct to the point and trying to help them, and people will respect that and appreciate that. Here's a big one, excitement. If you're not excited in the introduction, if you're not excited while you're building the sale, if you're not excited when you're closing the sale, like one of my favorite things I do that reminds me of excitement is I like to tell clients, Nancy, you're never ever gonna believe what I got your payment down to. Why don't you take a guess what it is? And I make them guess their payment and I play a game with them. Or when a client thinks that their credit score might not qualify, and it does, I'm like, James, credit's coming up right now, 3 more seconds, give me a drum roll, please. 622, brother. We definitely got it. Here's what I need you to do. Don't let anybody else touch your credit from now till closing. And like I'm making it fun and exciting as I'm talking to people. And all those things people read and people like. You know, great salespeople are great entertainers. You have to be an entertainer. I tell people sometimes I always want to be a comedian. You know what? I am a comedian. I make jokes all the time in my phone calls. I make jokes all the time on stage. I'm an entertainer, I'm a comedian, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a sales coach, I'm a leadership coach. I'm all of them in one because I believe entertainment has to be part of the sale. Entertainment has to be part of the speech. If you want people to listen to you and engage, we talked about storytelling, there's also entertainment. Then control. When it comes to control, do you control the conversation or does your client take you down the alley, through the mud, in the bushes and throw you out by the end of the call where you look like you have bedhead and your shirt's ripped and you can barely walk? Because a lot of phone calls could go like that if you lose control. And the way you keep control is with the quick pivots and telling the client what they need to hear. A lot of times we lose control in sales because we're not telling people what they need to hear. We're like, yeah, we don't really have, a lot of costs with our program, but we'll get to that later, and they move on. It's like, no, sometimes we do have costs and sometimes we don't. My goal is to figure out what solution makes the most sense for you, and I'll go over both of them for you by the end of this phone call. Now tell me, where are you currently working? And I take the ball and I dribble and I pivot away to something else, and I'm taking the control from them. If you answer an objection and you stay silent at the end, you're gonna lose that objection. You're gonna lose that battle. But if you answer and pivot, for example, if somebody says like, I'm sick of these phone calls, I was interested, but I'm no longer interested in this anymore. I say, thanks so much for letting me know that. A lot of people think that they're sick of these phone calls, but by the end of the phone call, I actually give them something that they actually like. So tell me right now, and if this doesn't make sense for you, I'll let you off first, but let me know real quick, what were you looking to do before you thought you're sick of these phone calls? And it's because that pivot at the end, where I dribble and take control, the client was thinking of saying something, but I took their mind somewhere else, and I kept the control of the conversation going. I also think about taking control when you're being a problem solver. If somebody tells me they have an accountant, I don't say, could you get me your tax returns? I say, great, what's your accountant's name and number? What I like to do for my clients is take care of all the documents so I don't give you a headache. These are one of the things you can expect from me. And I'm branding, collecting the documents for them and saving them time and demanding the accountant's number. That's taking control of a situation. How often are you taking control? People wait around sometimes for employment documents. Like you have a certification and authorization, call the employer and get the documents yourself. Take control in sales. Great salespeople take control. I think about sounds. How often do you use sounds on the call? Man, that sounds rough. Or like they say like, I probably need like 10 days to think about this and I'll call you back. You say 10 days? Hold on. Give me one moment here, man. I don't think we're on the same page. And like using these different sounds throughout your interaction will really show somebody where you're going with it and how you feel as you're going. And then lastly, please and thank you. You gotta be a professional, you gotta be polite, always thank them for their service, always thank them for their business, always thank them for their referrals, always let them know please and thank you through the end of the call. And those are the DNA of a great sales call. Now, as we went through those DNA qualities, if you guys seen that paper, there was check marks on it. And the reason there was check marks on it is because when I first started in sales, I would put a check on each one. I kept this paper on my desk till I got a check on every single one of them. Like when we go back to preparation, your why, your energy, this being your passion. Would you think that's my passion? Yeah, it's my passion. I was obsessed. I put all 15 of these things on a paper and I did not leave this paper or take this paper off my desk from in front of me until every single word had a check on it. Like you want to be great at sales? Put this paper in front of your desk and check off every single one until you have every single one of these traits. That's how you be great at sales. Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you're enjoying it. If you'd like to see a bunch more content exclusively for you, sales, leadership, mindset, business, growth, click right down here below and hit subscribe for me. Every single week, you're going to get exclusive content delivered to you first. We also have a link in the bio with all of our products and coaching. We'd love to help you 10x your business and 10x your sales. And thank you for being a part of the community. We appreciate you.